California moves to jail people who use the wrong pronoun. Caretakers who insist on misgendering patients could face a year in jail. California legislators are set to vote this week on a bill that could criminalise using the wrong pronoun to refer to a transgender individual. The bill, which passed the California State Senate in May, has moved into the California State Assembly as part of a slew of gender-based anti-discrimination laws designed to protect California residents who don't believe they fall into the gender binary. Doesn't this just hammer home the plague proportions of pure mental retardation being spewed out of the regressive left at the moment? Laws designed to protect California residents who don't believe they fall into the gender binary. They shouldn't be making moves to criminalise any speech like this, but seeing as they are, you'd think they'd have started with laws designed to protect California residents who don't believe they fall into the fucking Nazi spectrum, or the racist white supremacy binary. I mean, it's these types of motherfuckers who want to send people to prison for calling he a she a he or fucking they a zer that'll flippantly label you a Nazi, a racist or a white supremacist if you don't wholeheartedly subscribe to their worldview, obediently and absolutely. And being labelled a Nazi, a racist or a white supremacist can have real-life consequences. People lose jobs, get kicked out of colleges, and have their reputations dragged through the mud. But of course, that's nothing compared with the hurt feelings that come with being misgendered. Fucking fuck off. According to law professor Eugene Volokh, the law itself seems too vague, and it's likely California wouldn't strictly interpret the law and limit their enforcement to nursing home caretakers only. It's pretty unlikely that if the law is enacted, such prohibitions would be limited to just this scenario, he told the National Review. Of course they wouldn't. It'd be nursing and medical carers, then positions of authority like policemen and teachers, then public employees, then business operators and private employees, and before you know it, Joe Public. Titled the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual and Transgender Long-Term Care Facility Residents' Bill of Rights, the new law would allow transgender individuals living in care facilities like nursing homes to use bathrooms in line with their preferred gender, not necessarily their biological gender, and would punish any caregiver who knowingly uses the wrong gender pronoun to refer to one of their patients. Use he instead of she and you could face a $1,000 fine and up to 1 year in jail for gender-based discrimination and harassment. The law, which says knowingly, does not seem to identify any specific standard, leaving interpretation of motive up to authorities. Look, I'm certainly not against using people's preferred pronouns. I mean, the Z and Zay ones might get a bit confusing, but I've certainly got no issue with using he and she as people wish. It's just the polite thing to do. Just like it's polite not to call someone a whinging retarded cunt. But I'm fucked if I'd support a law against calling someone a whinging retarded cunt. So I'm fucked if I'd support a law against misgendering someone. If I lived in California, I'd be kicking up a massive stink about this. Tucker Carlson had a painfully frustrating conversation with Robin Biro, a Democratic strategist from California, about this proposed new law.
Let's be fair that I think you're cherry picking because this bill is not just about transgender use of pronouns and all that. It's about all of LGBT rights being included in the patient's Bill of Rights that's posted on the doors.
So I'm sure there are lots of things I would agree with in the bill. And just to be totally clear, I think you should call people what they want to be called. You know, I mean,
sure.
I think you should be polite to people, and I try to be. But there's a principle at stake here that you're ignoring for political reasons, and I'm a little surprised that you are. And that is a really simple one. It's called free speech, and you have the right to express your view. And if other people don't like it, they don't like it. But you can't be put in prison for saying what you think is true. And this bill seems to ignore that long-standing right that we've enjoyed, and I find it terrifying for that reason.
And I knew you were going to say that. The elderly community is already a marginalized community. But think about the fact if you are LGBT or even like the worst, transgender, they're probably the most disenfranchised. I myself am openly gay. Say 30 years from now, I've been in a relationship for a couple decades and this bill wasn't in place, it would deny my partner the ability to come and visit me.
You're skirting the point that I'm making, which is this bill criminalizes speech. If you use the wrong word, you can be put in jail. That is grotesque. Why in the world would you, as an American who once wore the uniform, support a bill that would criminalize speech?
Because elder abuse is inherently wrong. And I will read the bill. It says...
No, slow down. Speech is not abuse.
No, I'm talking about abuse. This is, understand this, misusing someone's pronoun is abuse. I follow the alt-right blogs where they call Michelle Obama a man. That is abusive.
Should they go to jail for that?
Should not be accepted.
Should they go to jail for that?
But if it's done in a medical thing, what constituted, hold on, what constituted, Tucker, is prolonged, continuous, intentional abuse by a healthcare provider. That is abuse. That should be criminal.
It should be criminal. Okay, what about thinking it? What if I have unpleasant thoughts about you and you could somehow find out I had them? Should I go to jail too? Is that abuse as well?
No, that's human nature. That's human nature. But
how many times would I have to misuse a pronoun before I went to prison?
It has to be, I already gave you the 3 criteria, prolonged, continuous, intentional abuse by a healthcare provider. There has to be a history of it.
Let's stop using euphemisms here and just get to the core facts. How many times would I have to misuse a pronoun before the police came, handcuffed me, and sent me to a prison cell?
It's not just a pronoun. Like I said, you're cherry picking. This also is denying.
That's what it does. Lots of no, but the bill says a lot of things. But I'm specific.
Yes.
No, but it also says what I'm saying. It says. I'm not making this up. So it says a lot of things. Sure, but what I care about is the criminalization of speech. And I'm asking you a very simple question: how many times do I need to use the wrong pronoun before police with guns show up at my house and handcuff me and deprive me of my freedom and throw me in a prison cell? How many times? 4 times? 5 times? How many times?
That has not been. I posted the entire bill on my Twitter at Robin Biro. You can read the entire bill. That does not say a specific number.
Look,
I will say that.
You're dodging it. You're dodging it. There are a lot of things that I don't like to hear. People call me names. I find it abusive. I have mental anguish as a result, let's say. Should they go to jail for that?
If they are your healthcare provider and they do it intentionally to mentally abuse you, and it's stated on the wall in the Healthcare Bill of Rights, yes.
Recession, session. Give me better times, give me better times. Recession,